which made it not more difficult, but you just needed to spend more time on it, okay? So our lowest mastery question was question what? So question 2, that's the one that Zubair said, this was really, really, really hard. But when I sat down with you guys were like, oh, now I see it, right? So let's take a look at question 2. So I wrote it here. Which detail from the article best supports the author's point of view on the slave quilt code? So the first thing that we always do is unpack the prompt. So let's go to question 2 and unpack the prompt. What's the first thing that we do? Serenity?
Circle the question word.
Circle the question word. Now we're going to just dump the question word in the box. We're going to put it right in the box. What do we do with that question word, Maya?
When we do the question word, we do circle it and we
I know what you're trying to say. Who wants to help her say what she's trying to say? Zubair.
I would like to build on to what Mayana said because I think she's trying to say that maybe the slave book code.
No. Question is, once you circle the question word, what do you do with that question word? There's something that you do. Kyrell. You forgot? All right, one more person.
What you do with that question word is you basically figure out like since it says which right here, like when you usually say like which one do you want, it's like it's basically you're basically picking choices, so you put choices in the box.
Okay, excellent. So, you guys remember? So, we take the question word, we don't just dump it in the box, we take the question word and we ask ourselves, how am I supposed to respond to this question word? When you see the word which, it's telling you to choose, okay? So you're going to choose, and then what do we do with the rest of the unpacking the prompt? Rezan.
You underline the question X with what is X means to do.
So you underline what the question is asking you to do, which is what, Rezan?
Which detail from the article best supports the author's point of view on the quilt, on the slave quilt code?
Okay, so, and then we put that in our own words into the box. So the main thing that we're looking for in this question is what? What are we looking for? Savannah?
The main idea.
I don't see main idea in that question.
Or best supports the author's point.
So what are we looking for? What are we looking for, Nasir?
The best detail?
We're looking for the best detail, but the main thing that we need to figure out is what, Solomon?
The best detail that supports the author's point of view.
So we're looking for the
Point of view.
point of view. Point of view. And we have to know what point of view is, right? In order to unpack the question. So what does it mean by author's point of view? We're not talking about first person, second person, third person. We are talking about what, Mila?
We are talking about like what the author is trying to tell us.
What the author is trying to tell us, what the author believes. He's not writing for just to write. Most people write because they write about what they believe or what they think, right? Okay, so point of view. How does the author feel or think about the topic he or she is writing about? Okay, so we've unpacked the question, unpacked the prompt. We're focusing on the author's point of view. How does he feel or think about what he or she is talking about? So, how do we figure that out? We have to go back to the text. And we just don't just read and read and read and reread for no reason, but we're looking for clue words from the text. Clue words that tell us what the author is thinking or what the author is feeling about what he or she is writing about. Okay? So, go back to the text. So, this article is structured in a way that it is comparison and contrast. And we know that because the beginning talks about what? The author explains, he's speaking about what? The beginning of the article. Moises?
That during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, American slaves in the Southern states used the secret code to help one another escape north to freedom.
So he's talking about that, yes, but what is he writing about exactly? The main idea of that part of the passage. Because he begins to change his mind, right? Or not change his mind, but he says, but wait, so that's the second part. So he's contrasting what he said from the beginning, right? So that top part is about, let's take a look. It says people began claiming, as Moises read, that during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, African slaves in the southern United States used the secret code. He said people began claiming. So he's not really in that, right? He took himself out, right? So that's one clue, because we don't know exactly where he stands yet. A claim is what? What is a claim? We talked about that yesterday. Ogechi? Loud and proud.
I think a claim is when people believe something.
Loud and proud.
When people believe in something and then they say that it's true, that it actually happened.
Okay, so a claim is a statement or something, an idea, a statement or something that somebody makes, but it still has to be proven. We just can't make claims without proof, right? So, this is the claim, right? So let's go back to our question. So like I said, we have to play ping pong between our question and the evidence in the text, and to find the right answer, right? So clue words. He used claim, right? We scroll down and he supports it by saying what people said, right? He's still not in it. When does he become involved personally in this text? When does he become involved personally? Serenity, go ahead.
It's in paragraph 4 because it says, but wait, how true were they? These quick clothes accounts for slightly, yes. And people wanted to be historically accurate, but were they?
Right. So he kind of throws a wrench in what we're reading, right? He says, but wait. Okay? So this is where we begin to see his point of view. You guys understand? So he's saying, but wait. Paragraph 5, what are some clue words that we see? Paragraph 5. Make sure you find one before you raise your hand. What does he think or feel? What are those clues that shows us how he thinks or feels? Ogechi, go ahead.
It says none of it.
Speak louder, please.
It says none of it appeared to come directly from the slaves they contributed. There were no letters and no recordings of the slaves themselves.
Okay, so he says there's no what?
Evidence.
There's no evidence. There's no evidence. Not right now. There's no evidence. Right? And then, so let's look at our last paragraph. Where does he actually state strongly that, hey, this is what I believe? Solomon?
Where he says we must conclude that poets played no special role in the overall
Excellent. We must conclude that quilts played no special role in the Underground Railroad. We know exactly how he's thinking or feeling about this situation, right? Do we agree? Okay, so let's go. What do we do next? Go back to our answer. Go back to our question and look for our answer. Do we see that? Do we see that evidence in our answer? His point of view, how he thinks or feels. What answer letter is that?
D.
D. We must conclude that quilts played no special role in the Underground Railroad. Right? It's right there. So like I said before, you have to look. Sometimes it takes going back and forth, playing ping pong, between your text and your question. When you unpack that question, you have to understand exactly what you're looking for. Author's point of view, that best supports, right? The best sentence, you're going to choose the author's point of view, okay? So our next question is question what?
1.
Question 1. So the first question, 9% of us mastered. Everyone else chose A. So that tells me you guys were thinking, you just weren't quite there, okay? Same thing with answer question 1. How does the author support the idea that people wanted to believe that African slaves in the South used a secret code? We have to do what?
Go back to the text.
Oh no. Unpack the prompt. Okay? So let's take a look at that. How? Let's go ahead and do it. Question word. Class?
How?
What does that mean? What does that mean? How do we answer a how question? Oscar.
Steps and ways.
Steps or ways. Do we agree? So, like we talked about yesterday, the day before that, last week, if someone asks you how, they're looking for you to explain the steps or ways that something happens. Or, okay? Unpack the rest of the question. Amina.
Underline what's the question asking you?
Underline what the question is asking you to do, which is what?
Which is, the author supports the idea people wanted to believe African slaves in the South used the secret code.
Okay? So steps or ways, who? So steps or ways goes into the box. What else goes in there?
Reasons.
So you skipped a very important part. You said steps or ways and you went to reasons. But who are we talking about? Steps or ways, who are we analyzing at this point?
African slaves in the South used the secret code.
Not quite. We're skipping a whole lot. So that's why we have to really understand how to unpack this prompt. Steps or ways, the slaves, or who are we analyzing? It tells us right there. Savannah?
Analyzing
The author. And how he does what?
how he believes African slaves in the South used to secret code.
Uh-oh. Close, but not quite. That's not what it says. Kyrell.
Analyzing support the idea that people wanted to believe African slaves in the South used the secret code.
Okay, so we're analyzing how the author does what? Supports the idea. Is it his idea? It says the idea that people wanted to believe African slaves in the South used the secret code. So we're analyzing how the author supports this idea about African slaves using a secret code. Got it? We see it? It's very important that you understand what the question is asking you to do. If you have to reread it 3 or 4 times, do it. Make sure that you totally understand every word, okay? Because if you unpack the question incorrectly, then you're gonna answer it incorrectly, okay? All right. So let's take a look quickly. We unpack the prompt. Ways the author supports the idea that people wanted to believe that slaves had a secret code. So let's look at our question again, quickly. What question was that? Thank you. All right, so let's look at our answers and see what we have, and then we're going to go back to the text. So go ahead and look at A. What does it say, Antonia?
How
No, A.
by showing the history of the quilt code wasn't known before the 1990s and when it became a popular topic.
Okay. Everyone who did not master this question chose that answer. What is wrong with that answer? What's wrong with it? Look at it. Isaiah.
Because it says, well,
Look at your question. How does the author support the idea about slaves having a secret code? Look at that. We unpack the question, we should look at A and say, oh,
because it says the quilt code won't know before the 1990s.
it wasn't known before the 1990s. So if he's supporting something that they believe, does this make any sense at all? You guys see it? The quilt code wasn't known before the 1990s, but we're looking for ways the author supported the idea that people wanted to believe. You guys see that? Does it make any sense? Does it match? No. So who can look at that and tell me what answer does match? And why it matches? Moises?
By showing that
What letter?
okay,
Okay. C? What did you say?
it's a D.
D? Go ahead and read it.
By showing that the active music that shows the pattern had different meanings and gave signals to escape being slick.
Okay, by showing that experts believed the quilts patterns had different meanings and gave signals to escaping slaves. Does that support the idea that people wanted to believe? Oh, no, I didn't say trash. I'm sorry. No, I said the correct answer. What would be the correct answer? Yes, that is trash. What best supports how did the author support what he was saying about people wanting to believe about African slaves having codes or using codes? Hey, Zubair, go ahead.
Actually, this is, the right answer would be C.
Okay, why?
I'd say the answer was C because it said the idea that the people wanted to believe. So, by showing that the stories about quilt code were subjects of popular books, films, and shows. So, if something or someone is popular, that means then people would
Okay,
like it.
all right. Well, let's look at the text. He talks about what people begin to believe, right? And then let's look at paragraph 3. He told us what people believe. How did he support it? How did he back it up? Films and books sprang up about how these bed covers with their secret messages were sewn by slave women, saved lives, and led enslaved people to freedom. The popular Oprah Winfrey TV show even featured these claims and stories. He supported what he said people believe about African slaves by telling us how. What was our question word? What was the question word? How. How. Okay? And then we have one more major one. Context clues. Our. We're gonna get it. We're going to get our context clues. We're going to master this, right? We're gonna master this. So let's look at question 3. I really thought that we were getting, I thought it was gonna be 80% on this, or higher. But we're still struggling, but that's okay, we're gonna get there. Which phrase from paragraph 8 means the same as doubtful? So the first thing that we're gonna do is, class,
Unpack your mouth.
I'm gonna unpack the